Self-discipline stands as the foundation upon which every lasting success is built. It acts as the invisible bridge connecting your intentions to your actions, transforming your inner desires into tangible accomplishments. You could be brimming with talent or burning with ambition, but without discipline, all of that potential remains locked inside, unused and unfulfilled. Discipline is what turns short bursts of motivation into enduring habits. It's the force that keeps you moving, forward on the days when the thrill wears off or when the journey starts to feel uphill and uncertain. But self-discipline isn't simply about saying no to temptations or denying yourself pleasure. It's about consciously choosing actions that reflect your deepest values and your long-term aspirations. It's about aligning your behavior, not just with what feels good now, but with what truly matters most in the long run. And here's the truth. Self-discipline doesn't require perfection. It demands consistency. It's not about always getting it right, but about always showing up. Progress comes not from flawless performance, but from persistent commitment. When you begin to master this internal strength, you take back the reins of your life. You stop reacting to the world around you and start responding with clarity and purpose. You stop blaming circumstances and start owning your path. This kind of mastery isn't something you stumble into overnight, but with practical techniques and steady effort, it becomes a powerful ally that shapes your entire future. The first step in building this discipline is surprisingly simple. Learn to value the power of small commitments. Too often, people mistake self-discipline for grand gestures or extreme sacrifices. They picture it as something dramatic and exhausting. But in reality, discipline begins quietly, with small, manageable promises to yourself. Real success isn't born from one giant leap, but from 1,000 steady steps. It's the result of doing the little things, again and again, until they add up to something meaningful. Small commitments are effective because they feel doable. You're not overwhelmed by the magnitude of the task, nor paralyzed by the fear of falling short. Instead, you start building momentum. Each time you honor a small promise, your confidence grows, and so does your belief in your own ability to follow through. It's a bit like training a muscle. The more consistently you work it, the stronger and more reliable it becomes. Think about a habit you've been wanting to build. Maybe it's daily exercise, reading more, or eating healthier. Rather than trying to overhaul your life overnight, what if you just committed to 5 minutes of movement, 1 page of reading, or replacing just 1 snack a day? At first glance, these changes may seem minor, almost insignificant. But over time, they quietly snowball into real progress. Consistency is the hidden ingredient behind all success. When you stick to your small commitments day in and day out, you create a rhythm, a personal pattern of victory. Eventually, that rhythm solidifies into habit, and once a habit takes root, it requires less and less mental energy to maintain. What once felt like effort becomes second nature. That's when discipline really begins to free you up, to take on bigger goals with greater ease. Another overlooked gift of small commitments is how they help you build trust in yourself. Every time you follow through, no matter how tiny the action, you affirm your worth and reinforce your self-belief. But the opposite is also true. Breaking even minor promises to yourself can chip away at your confidence and sense of integrity. That's why it's essential to set goals that are not just ambitious, but realistic and attainable. You're far better off starting small and stacking wins than aiming too high and burning out. Because in the end, discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about making progress. Don't let the fear of not doing it flawlessly stop you from beginning. Mistakes and missteps are part of the path. What matters is that you get back up again and again and keep moving forward. Focus on the journey, not just the end result. Celebrate your efforts, no matter how modest. And remember that each action, however small, is a stepping stone toward your vision. Small commitments remind us that real change takes time. In a world obsessed with instant gratification, discipline invites you to zoom out, to think long-term, to trust that your persistence will eventually pay off. And it's this quiet, steady trust in the process that separates those who wish for results from those who actually achieve them. Now that we understand how powerful small commitments can be, let's explore the next essential technique to strengthen your self-discipline even further. In the previous part, we uncovered the quiet power of small commitments, those seemingly minor actions that, when done consistently, build the foundation of lasting discipline. But their benefits go even deeper. Small commitments don't just keep you on track, they train your resilience. They prepare your mind and heart to face bigger hurdles down the road. By mastering the habit of simply showing up and doing the small things regularly, you develop a steady kind of strength, a mental and emotional resilience that grows stronger with each promise you keep. Every small win adds a brick to the structure of your self-belief. Bit by bit, you begin to trust yourself more, knowing that discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about continuing, regardless of how tough things get. And that kind of self-trust becomes your armor when life throws you into the storm. Mastering discipline through small commitments means realizing that true success doesn't require you to conquer everything all at once. Instead, it's about consistently doing the right things, even when they're hard, and having faith that your dedication will bear fruit. This approach is the solid groundwork that makes all the other techniques more effective. It gives you the momentum and emotional stability to move forward with clarity and purpose. Which brings us to the second powerful technique in cultivating self-discipline: learning to prioritize what truly matters. You see, self-discipline isn't just about grinding harder, it's about working smarter. It's about being intentional with your energy. It's not enough to just stay busy, you have to stay focused. Without clear direction, discipline becomes a rowing boat with no compass. You might be paddling with all your strength, but you could be going in circles. True prioritization begins with clarity. You have to know where you're headed. Too many people spend their lives lost in busyness, checking off to-do lists that aren't even their own, chasing tasks that belong to someone else's agenda. They end up exhausted, yet still far from their own goals. The first step to mastering the art of prioritization is to clearly define your goals. What are you striving for? What kind of person are you working to become? What does success genuinely look like to you? Once you answer these questions, your vision begins to sharpen, and your choices become clearer. You can then align your daily actions with that vision in a meaningful, deliberate way. One simple but powerful method to help you prioritize is to identify your big rocks. These are your highest impact tasks, your core goals, the things that truly move the needle in your life. Picture your day as a jar. If you fill it first with sand, the small, trivial tasks, there will be no space left for the big rocks. But if you place the big rocks in first, the sand can fit around them. Successful people live by this principle. They block out time for their most important work first, and they let the rest of their day organize itself around those priorities. Not everything deserves your attention. One of the most challenging but vital skills in prioritization is learning to say no. Because every time you say yes to something that doesn't matter, you're saying no to something that does. Discipline sometimes requires disappointing others so you can stay loyal to your own path. It means acknowledging that your time and energy are precious and choosing to protect them fiercely. Prioritization also requires distinguishing between what's urgent and what's important. Urgent tasks demand immediate attention but often lack long-term value. Important tasks, on the other hand, are the ones that truly move you forward, even if they don't scream for your attention. Those who succeed understand this difference. They don't let the noise of urgency drown out the quiet signal of what truly matters. One effective technique to strengthen your prioritization muscle is this: Plan your day the night before. Before you go to bed, take a few quiet minutes to review your long-term goals and identify the 3 most meaningful things you want to achieve the next day. Choose tasks that align with your big rocks, tasks that will have a real impact, not just fill up space on your schedule. That way, when you wake up, you won't be scrambling to find focus. Instead, you'll begin the day with direction, purpose, and the confidence that comes from knowing exactly what matters most. In the next part, we'll dive into a 3rd key technique, one that helps you overcome the temptation of instant gratification and stay committed even when distraction calls your name. With a clear sense of your priorities, it becomes much easier to stay disciplined throughout the day. When you know what truly matters, your focus sharpens, and that focus fuels consistency. One powerful technique to strengthen that focus even more is time blocking. Instead of waking up and reacting to whatever the day throws at you, why not take control by proactively scheduling blocks of time for your most important tasks? Treat these time blocks as non-negotiable appointments with yourself. Just like you wouldn't skip an important meeting with a client or a friend, you shouldn't skip a meeting with your goals. When it's time to dive into a block, eliminate distractions. Put your phone on silent, close unnecessary tabs, and give your full attention to the task at hand. This simple shift doesn't just help you stay on track, it significantly boosts your productivity and efficiency. You'll find that your mind becomes calmer and more engaged when it's not constantly switching between tasks or being pulled in every direction. But don't stop there. It's just as important to regularly reassess your priorities. Life is always moving, and your goals, values, and circumstances will evolve over time. Something that felt critical 6 months ago may no longer serve your vision today. Take the time to reflect. Are your daily actions still aligned with who you are and where you want to go? If not, it's okay to make adjustments. Self-discipline doesn't mean rigidly clinging to outdated plans. It means staying flexible while staying true to what genuinely matters. Remember, prioritization isn't only about what you choose to do. It's equally about what you choose not to do. By eliminating or delegating tasks that don't bring real value, you free up your most precious resources, time and energy. Ask yourself, is this task really necessary? Could someone else handle this more efficiently? Does it align with my core goals? If the answer is no, then it might be time to let it go. A disciplined approach to prioritization also means managing your energy, not just your calendar. Different tasks require different levels of mental bandwidth. Some demand deep concentration and creativity, while others can be handled when you're tired or distracted. Pay attention to your natural rhythms. When are you most alert and focused? Schedule your most important work during those hours. Save easier or routine tasks for the times when your energy dips. When your energy and priorities are aligned, your effectiveness multiplies. The real strength of prioritization lies in the momentum it builds. When you consistently focus on your big rocks and knock them out, you begin to feel accomplished and in control. This feeling of progress fuels your discipline. It gives you a sense that you're moving in the right direction, step by step. On the flip side, if you spend too much time caught up in the little things, you may feel busy but ultimately unfulfilled, which can drain your motivation and lead to frustration or even burnout. Above all, remember this: prioritization isn't about doing more, it's about doing what matters most. It's about aligning your daily actions with your deepest values and long-term goals so that every effort you make pulls you closer to the life you're working to build. Without prioritization, discipline becomes scattered effort. But when you master this skill, you take full ownership of your time and your energy, and that's when real progress begins. Now that you understand how to align your efforts with what matters most, it's time to explore the 3rd essential technique: building habits that automate your success. We just uncovered how building habits is less about willpower and more about creating small, consistent actions that slowly but surely reshape your life. Now, Let's go even deeper into what makes those habits actually stick. Instead of setting yourself up for failure by aiming to work out for an hour each day from the very beginning, start with something simple, just 5 minutes of movement. Likewise, if you want to develop a reading habit, commit to reading just 1 page a day. These actions may appear too small to matter, but don't underestimate them. They are the tiny seeds of transformation. When planted daily with intention, they grow roots. The real secret isn't intensity, it's consistency. You don't need to be perfect. You simply need to show up day after day. Even the smallest effort counts, and that effort repeated over. Time creates momentum, and once momentum builds, the process starts to feel more natural, almost automatic. Before you know it, those tiny steps compound into powerful, lasting outcomes. Think of it like water dripping onto stone. A single drop might seem meaningless, but given enough time, even the softest drip can carve deep into rock. That's the beauty of persistence, gentle, steady, and unstoppable. One proven method to make new habits stick is habit stacking, attaching a new behavior to something you already do daily. Let's say you want to start journaling. Instead of trying to carve out a random time each day, attach it to brushing your teeth or drinking your morning coffee. By anchoring a new habit to an existing one, you create a natural cue that nudges you into action without needing to rely on memory or motivation. But building strong habits isn't only about behavior, it's also about environment. Your surroundings silently influence your success. If you're trying to eat healthier, don't rely on willpower to resist junk food. Fill your kitchen with wholesome, nutritious options and get rid of temptations. If your goal is to improve focus, at work, create a distraction-free workspace. Remove the clutter, silence notifications, and set yourself up to succeed. The most disciplined people don't just rely on internal strength. They engineer their surroundings to support their goals. Accountability can also be a powerful motivator. When you tell someone you trust about your goals, you add an extra layer of commitment. It's not just about you anymore. The thought of someone else checking in on your progress can be the nudge you need to stay on track, especially on days when your motivation is running low. Another highly effective tool is tracking your habits. It could be a simple journal, a wall calendar, or a mobile app. Each time you complete a habit, mark it down. This visual feedback becomes a daily reminder of your commitment and gives you a real sense of progress. Over time, these small wins build confidence and clarity. They help you recognize what's working and where you might need to adjust. Often, forming new habits means replacing unhelpful routines with better ones. But change begins with awareness. Take an honest look at your current behaviors. Are you spending hours scrolling or watching TV instead of moving toward your goals? Are you hitting snooze instead of seizing the start of your day? Once you identify the habits that are holding you back, you can begin to swap them for actions that better reflect your vision. The timing of your habits also plays a big role. Research consistently shows that the earlier in the day you complete your core habits, the more likely you are to stick with them long term. Why? Because your willpower is at its peak in the morning and gradually declines as the day progresses. By tackling your most important behaviors early, you set a positive tone for everything that follows. And here's something people often overlook. Celebrate your wins. Every time you complete a habit, no matter how small, take a moment to recognize your effort. Smile. Give yourself credit. These small celebrations create a psychological reward loop that makes it more likely you'll repeat the behavior. It may feel silly at first, but your brain responds to recognition. Reward makes repetition easier. Lastly, be patient. Habit formation is a journey, not a race. You will have days when progress feels invisible or frustratingly slow. That's normal. Don't let temporary setbacks convince you that you're failing. As long as you stay consistent, you are growing. Little by little, those drops of effort will carve out a new version of you. Previously, we explored how small, consistent habits create long-term change, not overnight miracles. And as you keep showing up day after day, something powerful begins. to unfold. There will be moments when your efforts seem invisible, when progress feels painfully slow. But that's exactly when you must remember, habits aren't about instant rewards. They're about long-term transformation. When you trust the process and keep showing up, results will come. Quietly, gradually. Then suddenly, everything begins to shift. One of the most beautiful things about building habits is their ripple effect. When you adopt one good habit, it often leads to others without much extra effort. You start exercising regularly, you'll likely begin eating better. You sleep more soundly. You naturally become more disciplined in other areas. It's like momentum builds upon itself, success breeding more success. And at the heart of that chain reaction is habit. Habits are the true catalyst. Ultimately, mastering self-discipline doesn't mean constantly fighting your own impulses. It's not about battling every urge or resisting every temptation. It's about designing systems and routines that make the right choices easier and more automatic. When your habits align with your values and your goals, discipline stops feeling like a daily uphill struggle. Instead, it becomes a rhythm, a natural flow that guides your actions with ease and clarity. That's the real power of habits. They don't drain your energy. They free it. They liberate you from decision fatigue and inner conflict, allowing you to focus your attention on growth, progress, and meaningful achievement. And now, let's explore one of the most defining characteristics of truly disciplined people, the ability to delay gratification. This next technique is a game changer. At its core, delaying gratification means resisting the urge for short-term pleasure in favor of long-term rewards. It's simple in theory, but profoundly challenging in practice. Yet those who master it, master their future. This ability begins with a crystal-clear understanding of what you're working toward. When you have a vivid and emotionally compelling vision, it becomes easier to resist temporary distractions. Without this anchor, it's easy to give in to fleeting indulgences. But with it, each small sacrifice takes on new meaning. It becomes a step closer to something deeply worthwhile. Importantly, discipline is not about deprivation. It's about intentional choice. You're not just giving something up, you're choosing something greater. Every time you delay gratification, you're not losing, you're investing. You're investing in a stronger version of yourself, a more stable future, and a dream you believe in. That mindset shift is everything. To strengthen this ability, begin training your mind to focus on long-term benefits, not short-term discomfort. Say you're tempted to skip a workout. Instead of dwelling on how tired you feel, picture how energized you'll be afterward. Think about how it supports your health and how it brings you one step closer to your goal. This kind of mental reframing transforms resistance into motivation. Visualization is a powerful tool here. Make it a habit to regularly picture your desired outcomes. See yourself achieving your goals. Feel the emotions tied to that success. The more detailed and vivid your vision becomes, the more compelling it will feel in moments of temptation. It becomes your inner compass, pulling you toward what matters most. Another effective approach is breaking your big goals into smaller milestones. Long-term rewards can feel distant, almost too far away to stay excited about. But when you create checkpoints along the way, each small win becomes a moment to celebrate. These mini victories boost your confidence and renew your motivation. They serve as proof that you're on the right path. Of course, temptation is inevitable. No matter how focused or committed you are, there will always be moments of weakness. That's why disciplined people don't rely solely on willpower. They design environments that make success easier and temptation harder. For example, if you want to eat healthier, don't keep junk food in the house. As we've just explored, delaying gratification is not about deprivation. It's about learning to choose long-term meaning over short-term pleasure. But how do we actually do that in our daily lives, especially when distractions are everywhere? Start by taking control of your environment. If you're trying to stay focused on work, remove the things that typically pull your attention away. Silence, notifications, Keep your phone in another room. Declutter your desk. These may seem like small adjustments, but they add up. They help eliminate friction so you can stay on track with less mental resistance. When temptation isn't right in front of you, it's easier to stay aligned with your goals. Another practical method is to use delay tactics. When you feel the urge to indulge in a distraction, like grabbing your phone or reaching for a snack, pause. Don't act on it right away. Instead, commit to waiting just 5 or 10 minutes. This short delay can reduce the intensity of the impulse and give you time to refocus on what truly matters. It's like a mental timeout. The more you practice this, the better your brain becomes at handling discomfort and resisting the pull of instant gratification. To truly embrace delayed gratification, you need to reframe your relationship with discomfort. Most people see discomfort as something negative, something to be avoided at all costs. But successful individuals, they view discomfort as a signal of growth. They recognize that struggle is not the enemy, it's the price of progress. When you adopt this mindset, discomfort becomes something meaningful. It's not just pain, it's proof you're evolving. Rewards and incentives can also support this discipline when used wisely. When you set a meaningful goal, attach a reward to its successful completion. The anticipation of that reward can help you stay focused, especially during difficult stretches. However, make sure the reward is tied to the completion of the goal, not to every small step along the way. This reinforces the long-term mindset you're working to develop rather than feeding the desire for constant, immediate payoff. Accountability remains a powerful ally. When you share your goals and intentions with someone you trust, it adds an external layer of responsibility. Just knowing someone else is watching your progress can be the nudge you need to stay consistent, especially in moments of weakness. It complements your internal discipline with a sense of outside support. Delaying gratification isn't only about the big, life-changing decisions. It shows up in the small, everyday moments where discipline is quietly tested. It's choosing to stay focused for 1 more hour instead of scrolling through your phone. It's deciding not to make an impulse purchase so you can save for something that truly matters. It's going to bed on time so tomorrow starts with clarity and strength. These small choices, repeated again and again, begin to define not just your habits, but your identity. Patience is the backbone of this entire process. In a world that celebrates instant results, patience can feel outdated, even frustrating. But it's one of the most powerful traits you can cultivate. With patience, you develop the resilience to keep going, even when the rewards aren't immediately visible. You start trusting the process more than the pace. At its core, the ability to delay gratification is rooted in self-trust. Every time you honor a promise to yourself, no matter how small, you build confidence. You prove to yourself that you can be counted on, and that belief becomes fuel. Over time, this creates a powerful internal loop. Trust leads to discipline, and discipline reinforces trust. The more you follow through, the easier it becomes to resist the temporary in favor of the transformational. In the end, delayed gratification is about mastering your impulses and aligning your actions with your deeper values and long-term vision. It's choosing to live intentionally instead of being pulled in every direction by fleeting desires. When you develop this skill, you gain more than control. You gain purpose. You stop reacting and start leading your life by design. And that brings us to the 5th technique to master self-discipline: creating and committing to a structured routine. After learning how delaying gratification can help you resist fleeting desires and choose long-term success, the next key is to create a structured routine that turns your intentions into action, day after day. When you build a well-designed routine, you take the guesswork out of how to spend your time. No more endless decisions or mental debates about what to do next. This kind of clarity reduces decision fatigue and frees up mental energy for tasks that actually move you forward. Instead of reacting to your day, you begin to design it. That's exactly what successful people do. They don't leave their daily rhythm to chance. They create systems that reflect their goals and values. But the foundation of any solid routine is clarity, knowing exactly what you want to achieve and, more importantly, why it matters. With that purpose in mind, you can identify which actions will bring you closer to your goals and intentionally weave them into your day. Once you've defined those key actions, the next step is simple but powerful. Schedule them. When something is on your calendar, it transforms from a hopeful intention into a real, non-negotiable commitment. It's no longer, "I'll try to get to this," but rather, "This is part of my day." Many effective routines begin with a purposeful morning. How you start your day sets the tone for everything that follows. It's why countless successful individuals incorporate things like exercise, journaling, meditation, or reading into their early hours. These habits center their minds, ground their focus, and prepare them to face the day with purpose. The key, though, is not to copy someone else's morning. It's to create one that supports your needs and ambitions. Equally important is how you end your day. Evening routines offer a chance to reflect, plan, and wind down. You might review your accomplishments, express gratitude, or engage in a calming ritual like reading or stretching. Done consistently, this reflection not only improves your sleep, but sets the stage for a stronger start the next morning. Now, the real magic of a routine lies in consistency. At first, following a structure might feel awkward or even forced. It takes discipline to push through those early days, but over time, repetition turns routine into ritual. What once required effort becomes second nature, something you do almost automatically. Of course, change isn't always easy. One of the biggest challenges is breaking away from old habits. As creatures of comfort, we often resist change. That's why it's important to start small. Don't try to overhaul your entire day in one go. Begin with one habit. Then, once it becomes part of your rhythm, add another. This gradual, step-by-step approach makes transformation sustainable rather than overwhelming. Flexibility is also key. Life is unpredictable, and if your routine is too rigid, it can become a source of stress instead of support. The most effective routines are structured and adaptable. They include buffer zones and backup plans for when things don't go exactly as expected. If your schedule gets disrupted, you won't panic. You'll adjust and stay aligned with what matters most. To protect your routine, you must also set boundaries. Say no to commitments that don't serve your goals. Block out focused work time. Reserve space for rest, for loved ones, and for yourself. When you honor your time, others will too. Adding accountability into your routine can make a big difference. Share your schedule with a mentor, a coach, or a close friend. Simply knowing someone else is aware of your goals can keep you motivated. You might even establish a shared routine with a partner or a group where you encourage and support one another. Don't forget to track your progress. Whether it's with a planner, a journal, or a habit tracker, recording your actions helps. Reinforce your discipline. It also gives you a chance to reflect, to see what's working and where tweaks might be needed. Over time, these small refinements make your routine even stronger and more effective. Some people believe that structure kills creativity, but the truth is quite the opposite. A well-built routine gives you a stable foundation, freeing your mind to be more imaginative, more present, and more responsive when inspiration strikes. When the essentials of your day are in order, you create space for spontaneity, not against it. Routine isn't about perfection. It's about progress. And just like any journey, earlier we explored how a structured routine can become the foundation of your discipline. But what happens when you stumble, when you miss a commitment or fall off track? The answer lies not in perfection, but in how you respond to those inevitable missteps. When you stray from your schedule or skip a task, don't see it as a failure. See it as a temporary setback, not a reason to abandon everything you've built. High-performing individuals understand this well. They don't let one missed workout or one unproductive day unravel their entire system. Instead, they recalibrate, recommit, and keep moving forward with renewed clarity and focus. That's the essence of routine. It's not a cage. It's a bridge. A bridge between where you are now and where you truly want to be. By building and committing to a routine that reflects your long-term goals, you take full ownership of your time, your focus, and your energy. You reduce decision fatigue and eliminate distractions, allowing yourself to pour energy into actions that actually matter. Importantly, this technique isn't about crafting a rigid schedule that squeezes out all spontaneity or joy. It's about building a flexible framework that supports your goals while still giving you room to breathe, to adapt, and to live with intention. Once you master this practice, discipline stops being a burden and starts becoming a source of power. You don't just become more organized. You become more capable, more confident, and more in control of the life you're creating. And now, we arrive at one of the most essential principles of all: embracing discomfort as a necessary ingredient for growth. Discipline doesn't thrive in ease. It's forged in the fires of challenge, in the moments that stretch you, test you, and sometimes even intimidate you. True growth happens not when you're coasting, but when you're leaning into discomfort, pushing your boundaries, and choosing the path that isn't always the most comfortable, but is always the most rewarding. Discomfort tends to get a bad name. It's natural to avoid it, to seek out what's easy, pleasant, and familiar. But here's a hard truth. Comfort zones are where potential goes to sleep. They're the quiet prisons where dreams are left untouched. When you stay where it's safe, you rob yourself of the chance to grow, to learn, and to find out what you're really made of. But when you shift your mindset and begin to welcome discomfort, everything changes. That uneasiness you feel, that's not a red flag. It's a signpost. It tells you that you're stepping into new territory, stretching your limits, and building something real. Discomfort is the spark that ignites transformation, and growth and discomfort go hand in hand. Every meaningful step forward will require you to do something unfamiliar, something new, something that may feel awkward or even scary. It's not a matter of if discomfort will show up. It's about how you choose to meet it. To strengthen your self-discipline, start by reframing discomfort. Don't treat it as something to run from. See it as proof that you're doing the work. It's the sensation of progress in real time. And just like building physical muscle, you don't need to begin with overwhelming challenges. Start small. Incorporate manageable levels of discomfort into your daily routine. Wake up a little earlier. Push through that last 5 minutes of focus. These acts might be minor, but they build your tolerance and your resilience. Successful. People don't wait for life to shake them out of their comfort zones. They do it intentionally. They seek out challenges. They make discomfort part of their daily training. And over time, what once seemed hard becomes routine. Their capacity to handle pressure, uncertainty, and growth expands, and so does their discipline. Still, discomfort often brings with it the unwelcome companion of self-doubt. That little voice in your head that says, "You can't do this," or "This is too much." Learning to quiet that voice is essential. How? By focusing on your why, the reason behind your effort. By reminding yourself of the outcome, not just the challenge. Successful people don't dwell on temporary discomfort. They lock their eyes on the reward waiting beyond it. Visualization is an incredibly powerful tool here. The next time you're about to face something difficult, pause for a moment. Picture yourself succeeding. See yourself completing the project, finishing the workout, or delivering that speech with confidence. Imagine how proud and empowered you'll feel on the other side. Now, let's go deeper into how this mindset shift fuels long-term discipline and helps you build unshakable inner strength. One simple yet effective way to stay on course during uncomfortable moments is through mental rehearsal. When you visualize yourself succeeding, crossing the finish line, delivering that presentation, or simply sticking to your commitment, you activate motivation from within. This practice of imagining the outcome gives you a glimpse of the reward, and that spark can carry you through moments when your will begins to waver. Accountability also plays a vital role in helping you embrace discomfort. Share your goals and the challenges you're facing with someone you trust, a mentor, a close friend, or a coach. When you know someone else is aware of your journey, it becomes easier to stay committed. Their encouragement and perspective can keep you grounded when self-doubt creeps in. They remind you of your why in the exact moment you might forget it. Another essential mindset when facing discomfort is to focus on progress, not perfection. When you push your limits, you won't always get it right the first time. There will be days when you miss the mark, make mistakes, or feel like you've taken a step backward. But those moments are not failures. They're feedback. They are valuable opportunities to grow, to learn, and to adjust. Celebrate the courage it takes just to show up. The effort alone is part of the victory. Discomfort also teaches you one of the most underrated virtues in the modern world: patience. We live in a time where instant results are expected, where success is measured in likes, views, or quick wins. But real growth doesn't happen overnight. Self-discipline is not built in bursts. It's built through sustained effort over time. Discomfort reminds you that this is a process, not a one-time event. It requires resilience, consistency, and the quiet willingness to keep going even when results haven't arrived yet. One of the most transformative shifts you can make is to begin seeing discomfort as a teacher. Every challenge you face teaches you something about your limits, your strengths, your mindset. When you stop resisting discomfort and start approaching it with curiosity, you unlock insights that were previously hidden. You realize that discomfort isn't your enemy. It's a companion on your path to mastery. It's also helpful to remember that discomfort is temporary. The tension you feel during a workout, the frustration of learning something new, the nervous energy before a big decision, all of these emotions pass. What stays with you is the strength you gained from pushing through. What remains is the confidence, the knowledge, and the evidence that you are capable of more than you once believed. And that's the ultimate reward. Over time, as you consistently face discomfort and refuse to back down, you build self-trust. You prove to yourself that you can endure, that you can show up, that you can follow through. This self-trust becomes a powerful force. It fuels your confidence and propels you toward even greater challenges with less hesitation and more courage. But let's be clear. Embracing discomfort doesn't mean chasing pain for the sake of suffering. It means acknowledging that every meaningful goal comes with a price, and being willing to pay that price because you know it's worth it. You learn to accept that the path to fulfillment is paved with effort, and that's exactly what makes it so rewarding. When you adopt this mindset, you unlock a version of discipline that's rare and powerful. Discomfort stops being a roadblock. It becomes a bridge between where you are now and the life you're working to create. With each challenge you overcome, each fear you face, and each moment you stay the course, you convert discomfort into transformation. And this is how you build the kind of discipline that not only reaches goals, but sustains a life of growth, purpose, and deep fulfillment. Because self-discipline isn't just a single moment of willpower, it's a way of living. It's the sum of your choices, your habits, and your mindset. It's the compass that steers you toward the hard but meaningful road, over the easy but empty one. We'll explore the final technique, how to make self-discipline a sustainable force in your life, one that lasts not just for days or weeks, but for a lifetime. After learning how self-discipline is forged through discomfort and elevated through consistency, we come to a powerful realization. Self-discipline isn't about rules. It's about your future self. When you commit to mastering self-discipline, you're not just agreeing to follow a strict schedule or deny yourself pleasures. You're making a deeper, more meaningful choice. You're choosing to invest in the person you're becoming. You're declaring through your actions that long-term growth, fulfillment, and purpose matter more to you than short-term ease or fleeting gratification. You're choosing excellence over mediocrity, integrity over excuses, purpose over passivity. And the most inspiring truth? Self-discipline is available to everyone. It doesn't belong only to the privileged, the naturally motivated, or the lucky few. It's not something you're born with. It's something you build. No matter where you're starting from, no matter what challenges or limitations you face, self-discipline can be developed one choice, one step at a time. The techniques you've just learned aren't lofty theories. They're practical, proven strategies. From clarifying your why to building solid habits, protecting your focus, developing structure, embracing discomfort, and delaying gratification, each technique is a powerful piece of the puzzle. When you put them together, you form a foundation for lasting personal transformation. You begin to take control, not just of your daily routines, but of your destiny. Self-discipline is not a finish line. It's a lifelong journey. And like any journey, there will be days when you falter. Days when comfort calls louder than purpose. Days when you wonder if you're making progress at all. But those aren't signs of failure. They're invitations to recommit, to rise, to grow stronger. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, no matter how small the action, you're reinforcing a promise to yourself. You're strengthening your own integrity. And those small, repeated decisions, they begin to compound. They build momentum. They create resilience. What once felt hard becomes habitual. What once required immense willpower starts to feel automatic. That's the beauty of self-discipline. It transforms not just your results, but your identity. It reshapes how you see yourself. It teaches you that you're capable, trustworthy, and worthy of living a life that aligns with your values. At its heart, self-discipline is about self-respect. It's about treating your time, your energy, and your potential like the rare and valuable resources they are. When you live with that mindset, everything changes. You stop waiting for motivation or perfect conditions. You start acting with purpose every single day. Success isn't built by chance. It's built by discipline. It's the result of doing the things others avoid, of showing up again and again with focus, determination, and a commitment to give your best, even when it's inconvenient, uncomfortable, or uncertain. And the best part? Every time you take a step toward mastering discipline, you take a step closer to the life you've always imagined. When you look back, it won't be the easy days you remember most. It will be the moments you pushed through the struggle, rose above distractions, and stayed loyal to your purpose. Those are the moments that define you. So the real question isn't whether you have the ability to master self-discipline. You do. The real question is, are you willing to start? Are you ready to commit, to show up, and to keep going, even when it's hard? Because the rewards, purpose, progress, and fulfillment are worth every ounce of effort. They are worth the sacrifice, worth the discomfort. They're worth it because the life you're creating is worth it. And that is the power of self-discipline, the daily decision to become who you were truly meant to be. Thank you so much for watching. If this video inspired you, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing it with someone who's ready to level up their life. You never know. It might be exactly what they need to hear today.